Okay, well, everybody, thank you so much for joining this afternoon. Again, I'm Brittany Bobowick, and I'm usually in London, but I'm in the States at the moment. So excited to be here with you guys today. I had the opportunity to participate as well for those of you who joined in the conference a couple of months ago for We Are Tech Women. And I'm so delighted to be a part of the webcast series. I run corporate social responsibility for our EMEA market here at Dell Technologies. I am joined today by Margareta McGrath. She is our Chief Digital Officer for the UK. So Margareta, thank you so much for joining. Margareta will kind of just be helping monitor the chat, keep this interactive, ask Q&A, and then just keeping me on track and interrupting me anytime that we have any questions. So again, please feel free to reach out, make sure that you're asking your questions and that we're keeping this interactive. But so today we're going to talk about sustainable technology. So what does that mean? So first, from an agenda standpoint, I was thinking we'll talk about what is sustainable IT. I know we have a host of different people on the call today. So I just really want to level set, kind of high level, what does sustainable IT mean? And then talk about, some of the players who are leading that forefront, not just from an IT perspective, but what are some of our peers and companies in the UK doing around sustainability, and how does IT really play a part of that? And then I'd like to talk through some of the principles of sustainable IT and kind of help, relate that to what that looks like through how we're approaching this at Dell Technologies. And then, of course, end this with recommendations that I might offer for wherever you are in this journey to kind of help advise how you can get involved and look towards more sustainable technology solutions. So as I mentioned, I want to keep this interactive. I've got a couple of polls that we'll do. Ellie, if you could kick off the first poll, that would be great. Just to get us going, just to try to understand kind of a baseline of, who is familiar with their own organization's sustainability agenda and goals. If you could take just a moment and answer the poll. And then we can kind of get an idea of, where folks on the call stand today and, which direction to take the conversation. Excellent. Answers are coming through. Looks like we have a really great mix. This is great. Okay, just give it one more moment. Great. So it seems that the majority are somewhat familiar with their sustainability agenda. Your company has an agenda at a high level. You might understand what they're trying to achieve. We do have some folks that are perhaps not familiar, or perhaps your company doesn't have a sustainability strategy yet, and that is totally fine. So we'll be able to speak to this at each level, and hopefully start high level enough that we can have an understanding by the end of this, where you can start to get involved, even if you're just starting on this journey. So without further ado, I will hop into to the presentation, and then again, just feel free to use the chat and the Q&A, and we will get going. So we're really, it kind of feels as if we are at this tipping point in human history today. We've got a few really major trends coming together, as well as these big global events that we're seeing. We've got this kind of dawn of what we're calling the digital era, where technology is really helping drive and transform business and society in many ways. We're also facing this massive global sustainability challenge on a scale that's really requiring this kind of immediate action need for action. Every year, we're using more resources than the Earth can actually regenerate. And we're really amidst kind of this pandemic as well, where countries, communities, businesses, this is continuing to have on our society. Hey, Margareta, just to check, are you guys seeing me okay?
We're seeing you okay. Well, we can't see your slides, so they've disappeared. So I don't know whether they'll come back in a minute, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Let me just try to share again quickly. So Ellie, it looks like I may have lost presenting rights. If you wouldn't mind just enabling those for me again, and I'll pop the screen back up. Sorry, folks, just manage with me for one moment while we have a couple of technical issues, but we'll get this back up quickly.
It says you're still a co-host.
Okay.
one moment. Let me make this one co-host.
Okay.
How about now? Is it working now for you?
It's not. It's saying that the screen sharing was disabled, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
Okay.
All panelists, right. Maybe now it will work.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Perfect. You've got it.
Great.
Yep. Okay, so let's just.
Zoom has a mind of its own this morning.
Okay, we're back up now. Wonderful.
Perfect. Brilliant.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, okay. Can you guys see me okay?
We can, yeah, all good.
Okay, brilliant. So yes, we're really at this position in human history where we have these big trends and events coming together, and technology really has the power to solve for some of these issues. A perfect example of this is with the COVID landscape today. So technology is helping drive potential cures for COVID. It's enabling us to come together as communities around the world to work through some of these challenges that we've had, for instance, going into the office and being able to connect remotely. And here we all are today, connecting through technology. Additionally, technology has the ability to help us reach global initiatives such as the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. If you're not familiar with the SDGs, they're here on the screen now. These are 17 goals that were outlined by the UN, I believe back in 2015, that's really kind of been this blueprint map for the globe to come together and for companies and government to figure out how we can come together on kind of an equal playing ground and work toward the same initiatives with the goal that these will be achieved by 2030. So again, let's just start with kind of a baseline. What is sustainable IT? And to understand this, let's first look at what is sustainability. So if you guys could just open your chat quickly, could you just put in a couple of words or a sentence, what does sustainability mean to you? Recycling of products, using green kits, absolutely. Responsibility, taking no more than can be replenished, absolutely. These are all great answers. So sustainability is really the ability to exist constantly, right? And then so therefore sustainable IT, when you're thinking about how that translates to technology, is the manufacture, management, use, and disposal of information technology in a way that minimizes damage to the environment. So when we're looking at this, it's really about how can we create and manage technology and everything that it takes to produce it in a way that can be sustainable so that it can exist constantly or at least last as long as possible. So to start, these are just a couple of examples of some early adopters in the UK that are doing this really well. So these are, companies that are in our own backyard that really have a focus, not only on a sustainability agenda, but are also working to incorporate technology and procuring sustainable technology into that agenda as part of their sustainability strategy. We have AstraZeneca, a big biopharma company, of course, EY from a consulting standpoint, which is EY are actually helping other companies to look at how they can achieve their sustainability goals as well. HSBC, BP, M&S, all of these companies have big goals, not only to look at how they can reduce their own carbon emissions, how they can impact climate change, but they're looking at how they can use and leverage their technology as a means to do so. So just to kind of set the landscape, so this is a statistic that I think is really fascinating to help understand how technology can be negative if we don't pay, how it can play a negative role in sustainability if we don't, pay it the right attention and look at how we can develop this sustainably. E-waste is actually the fastest growth are responsibly recycled today. And this is not just IT equipment. This is refrigerators. This is mobile devices into this role. And I didn't have this, I had a drawer full of old mobile devices, at my desk. And it wasn't until I was really educated on how much e-waste is created that I kind of changed my behavior. So about 80% of our technology and electronics are just thrown out or sitting in a pile somewhere. So I challenge you to kind of think about this. Do you have that drawer full of old systems, of old devices? What are some of these little behaviors you could think about potentially changing, and perhaps even those on the right path and the right trends here? So what's really important here is to think about, the circular economy as it relates to technology. If you're not familiar with the circular economy, it's this concept that we keep things circulating. So a kind of a helpful way to think about it can be the linear economy. It's opposite, which is where we create something, we make something, we consume it, say a piece of clothing, we wear it, we're done with it, and we throw it away. With the circular economy, we're designing something to where at every individual stage, we're thinking about how that's going to come back around and how it can be reused again and again and again at each stage. So the concept of waste absolutely has no place in circular economy lifestyle. And what I'd like to do, again, to kind of give you an understanding of what the circular economy looks like in practice, is to walk you through our strategy at Dell Technologies. So Dell Technologies, we have our social impact 2030 agenda that we've launched actually last year. We've just come out with our first report against our social impact, our new social impact progress made real agenda, just actually a couple of weeks ago. And this is called Progress Made Real. We divide Progress Made Real into 3 different pillars. So we have advancing sustainability, where again, that's where we're going to kind of focus today. It's that focus on circular economy, developing technology to where it can be sustained, responsibly recycled, et cetera. We have our second pillar, which is cultivating inclusion. This is really all about diversity and inclusion in our company. We understand that our employees are absolutely our greatest asset. That our employees are how we innovate, how we really drive our company forward. So this is where we focus on cultivating inclusion. And then our third pillar is transforming lives with technology. And this is all about how we bring these elements together. So our fabulous people, our technology, all the things we're trying to do within our community, and run programs to really impact and drive human progress with what we're doing. And so just as a example, going back to the Sustainable Development Goals of how you'll see companies tie SDGs to their plans. So this shows you the 3 different pillars I just alluded to that Dell looks at, and how we've aligned the SDGs to each of these pillars. So you'll see, I believe we have about 11 of the 17 that we try to personally touch here. And we work very diligently to ensure that all of the goals that we're mapping within each of these pillars reflect back and ultimately will help drive forward towards the SDGs. And this is not just a Dell Tech thing. Many companies are doing this today. You can see typically which goals companies are working against. If you look at their sustainability website, sustainability websites are usually right off of the homepage of a company. So if you have any interest in maybe trying to align what you're doing with somebody you're working with, that's a great place to start, just to understand what are the key areas that they're looking at and how could you potentially align to drive forward together. So this is a representation of Dell's circular economy model. So you can see that from the design phase all the way through to recycling, that whole end to end of our product life cycle, we're trying to look at how we can consider sustainability at every single step. So just from the beginning, the design principles, we look at modular design, and what that means is basically we eliminate as much as we can the use of glues, any permanent fixtures that make things hard for us to actually disassemble and take our technology apart. So we use modular design, basically snaps that allow us to assemble and disassemble. That way it's very easy to repair and to recycle our kit. Then we go into the build phase, so the actual elements that we're using to build our systems, and I'll go into this in a bit more detail in just a moment, but we've recycled as you can see, millions of tons of material of different kinds. that we're actually using and bringing into our supply chain to actually build our systems. And that goes through to our sustainable packaging as well. So what we're actually developing to ship kit out to our customers, we're developing sustainably. So now with the new report, we're at 85% of all of our packaging is made from recycled material. And then we go through to the use, right? And this is where it's the most important element for you, our customers and our partners, is what does this technology do when it's on site with you? How can it help you be more sustainable? And that's by reducing the energy. By lowering energy reduction, by reducing the amount of energy that it takes for our systems to run. This lowers your total cost of ownership. This also helps you to reach your own sustainability goals because you're consuming less power, therefore you have less total emissions. And we've been able to reduce our entire product portfolio by about 70% over the last decade, with a goal of reducing this another 10% over the next decade as we go. And then last but not least, of course, we look at how do you actually recycle these systems. So you've gone through, we've looked at how we design, how we build, how we work with our suppliers, what it looks like when it's on site with you. But as this comes back to us, how do we actually recycle this responsibly so that it can continue that circularity and stay within, stay within the economy the way that it was created. So this is just another kind of fun game. Before I go into the actual materials that we're using to kind of innovate and use to build our technology, Ellie, if you could push the second poll, could you just take a guess at, which of the following is a material that we do not repurpose for use in our technology today? Is it windscreens, ocean-bound plastics, stained glass, or carbon fiber from the aerospace industry? I'll give that just a moment. Got various answers coming in. All right, I think you guys are on to us. The most voted for is stained glass, and you would be correct. We do not use stained glass, although as I wrote this, I had this vision of maybe we could recycle stained glass and somehow make some beautiful display for our monitors. That would be quite cool. So yes, we are innovating with several different kind of materials at Dell that we're using to build our systems. And the majority of it is plastics. So of course, with technology, the majority of what you're creating does come from plastic. So we actually recycle plastics from a various array of different sources. We have plastics that we source from the commodity market, such as water bottles and CD cases, which go back into our desktops and monitors. We have plastics from recycled computers, again, systems that we repurpose back into desktops, monitors. I've heard of this in terms of what Dell is doing is with ocean-bound plastics. So we're actually pulling plastics that are headed for the ocean, and we're using these to create the packaging trays for our laptops. A couple of other really innovative things that we're doing that I find absolutely fascinating is we're working cross-industry with several different industries to kind of make other people's waste stream our treasure, is the way I kind of like to think about it. So for instance, I wasn't aware of this until I came into this role, but the way that a windscreen is actually created, there are two panes of glass, and there's a thin piece of plastic that runs through. That piece of plastic is intended to make the windscreen shatterproof. We're actually removing that piece of plastic as cars go to junkyards, whatever it may be, and we're using that plastic to coat our backpacks to make them waterproof. We're doing the same with reclaimed carbon fiber from the aerospace industry. So we're taking this leftover carbon fiber that's not being used on airplanes, et cetera, and we're actually using these kind of wasted sheets to coat some of our mobility systems to make them more durable, make them lighter, etc. So this is really about looking at how you can innovate cross industry, but how can you look externally at what other folks are doing and bring that in to help enable your circular economy? The second kind of piece of this is our supply chain. And supply chain is so, so important to the overall, greater picture of what we're doing and driving sustainability. You might recall in past months hearing news of a large e-commerce business, which was kind of under fire for what their workforce was claiming provided less than ideal working conditions within their supply chain. And suppliers can absolutely become a reflection of who you are and who you work with. So a safe and healthy workplace is absolutely paramount today. We at Dell work through the Responsible Business Alliance, or what is called the RBA for short. And through their code of conduct, we've established kind of a high set of standards. That the RBA is great because they've established these set of standards as the world's largest industry coalition, which is really dedicated to CSR and global supply chains. So this includes supplier audits. We also work with them collaborating with leadership within our supply chains and structuring trainings around identified risks to really help improve the working environments of the people that we work with. We also absolutely recognize the importance of engaging the people who work on our products and really look to enlist their unique skills to really try to innovate ideas and create a better workplace. Next, we talk about, the importance of, again, going back to that idea of low energy emissions when the system is on site with you. This is absolutely, again, the biggest impact to our customers. This is where we as a tech company potentially drive the greatest amount of carbon emissions internally. So this is where we're maniacally focused. We're consistently looking at how we can reduce the energy emissions of our products while they reside on site with our customers. We've been able to achieve nearly, again, a 70% reduction across our entire portfolio over the last decade. This efficiency, again, is really helping drive reduction for our customers' total cost of ownership and really help through energy savings while also kind of reducing your overall carbon footprint on the environment. And more customers today are actually asking us for eco labels as a way to kind of simplify sustainable IT decisions, kind of give our customers overall that peace of mind that their products are running at the highest efficiency standards. So again, these eco labels are a great way to just kind of know that a high standard has been set, a high efficiency standard has been set when you're looking at technology. We have everything from EP to TCO certified, EcoVadis, Energy Star, and this is, we're proud to say this has actually enabled us to be one of the industry leaders with one of the most sustainably certified portfolios around the globe. And then I mentioned the e-waste statistic earlier, right? So it's really about, okay, how can we look at when the system's end of life, provide options for our customers and our partners to return those systems back to us. And the recyclability of electronics is really the big last piece in the circular economy puzzle. So how do you ensure that the stuff you're creating is recyclable? But furthermore, is it actually even being recycled? We've made commitments to divert all e-waste from landfills. And since about 1996, we've been offering a variety of secure services for consumers and businesses all around the world to be able to take advantage of. So we provide recycling solutions that really protect our customers' data. We're making sure that we're safeguarding our customers' brand reputation. We're using precious materials and really looking at how we can responsibly recycle this material. So with each of the pillars I discussed earlier, Dell has aligned what we call this moonshot goal. And what this means is it's kind of this big audacious goal for our customers, our partners, our company, all to congregate around and figure out how we can get to this big goal by 2030. Our moonshot goal for advancing sustainability is that we are aiming by 2030 with every product a customer buys, we will reuse or recycle an equivalent product. This also includes that 100% of packaging will be made from recycled or renewable material. And then we're also looking at more than half of our product content will be made from recycled or renewable material. And we're absolutely recognizing that this will take a village to achieve, which is why we're working closely with our partners and our customers to ensure that we are offering and getting folks to come back to us and recycle their systems at every opportunity, and that these programs are being leveraged to ensure that we can try to get to this goal by 2030. So my hope at this stage is that you've really created an understanding and an awareness of what sustainable IT looks like. You've kind of heard about Dell Technologies' journey along the way as we work to establish some of our own more sustainable and responsible business practices, and kind of have an idea of other organizations around us that are placing focus on the same topic. But part of our mission in this space, of course, is to help our customers learn from our journey and be able to do the same for their own organizations. So I'd like to offer a few recommendations to you in terms of, if you're just starting out or if you're at some point along that journey, how can you look to organize more sustainable IT procurement practices going forward? The first being, look to really collaborate with your specific industry and stakeholders to identify the right criteria and really look to innovate solutions to meet that criteria. Secondly, make sustainability count, right? So we have all of these great qualifications. I'd mentioned the eco labels. Use qualifications and award criteria, within your RFPs or however you go out to procure technology. Use that strategically to your benefit. Alliance is a great example of what we're doing today, but programs that are already doing this, for customers and for companies all around the globe, for product performance. Demand supply chain responsibility, again, through the Responsible Business Alliance, but supply chain is absolutely critical to this, not only your own internal supply chain, but the supply chain of everybody that you're working with. So ensure that you're absolutely checking the box and how you're managing your supply chain and how your partners and customers are managing theirs as well. And then last but not least, apply fair and clear criteria for evaluation. So do the work on the front end. There, again, are loads of best practice examples out there today. And as an example of this, we can send this out after this webinar today. But we've put together a CSR procurement guide. So we're really trying to use the expertise that we've gained over kind of this decades-long journey of sustainable innovation and dialogue that we've had with our different customers. And we've curated these best practice questions that you can actually plug and then play directly into your own RFPs, supplier questionnaires, whatever it may be that you use. This is actually also broken down by subject matter with several relevant and important questions for consideration aligned to each individual topic. And you can kind of see an overview of the different topics here on the homepage. We're working with some of our largest customers today across various industries, inclusive of big global insurance agencies, one in particular whom are looking to become the most sustainable insurance company in the world and to design sustainable IT strategies. And they're working to build these elements from this actual guide into their procurement methods as well. So we've shared this with several customers and they're seeing a lot of success in just starting with a few simple questions to really understand what their suppliers are doing and how they can look to become more sustainable in the decisions that they're making. So I think collectively, the most important thing that we're asking of our customers and our partners is to join us in bringing the world's best minds and ideas really to the planet. And this is very much inclusive of how we choose to procure and manage the life cycle of the very assets that are sitting here in front of us, helping drive these conversations today. And to reiterate an earlier comment, we all have a role to play here. My hope was that throughout today, you were able to kind of identify even just a few key areas, even if it's just simple steps to start, to really help you and your organization further kind of join the front lines with us and look at not sustainability holistically, but within technology, how can we start to drive more sustainable business practices? So that's what I had for today. Margaretta, do we have any questions that have come in?
We do. So we have some questions coming through around what are you seeing in the UK market that's standing out? So what are UK companies doing and how have they started on this journey around sustainability? Any good examples of businesses that are taking small steps but big changes all the same?
Absolutely. So again, going back to some of our examples from earlier, and I'll go back to this earlier slide just to put it up. So this is a very diverse set of customers that we're working with in the UK. in terms of, here we go. So, from an AstraZeneca standpoint, they're one of the leading biopharma companies in the globe. They're ambitiously working towards carbon neutrality by 2025, which is incredible. And they're looking to be carbon negative by 2030. So they're working through a number of different ways to look at, okay, from accomplishments, there are many different ways that they can do this, but because of what they make, right? So it's medicine. They're actually producing plastic bottles for medicine to go in. It's very similar with the technology industry as well. We're actually making things that consume power, that produce emissions. So you have to look really strategically at how you can offset those emissions. And that's one of the ways that AstraZeneca is looking to do this. From an IT standpoint, AstraZeneca is looking at how can they procure the most efficient technology to help along those goals. So what systems are driving the least amount, the most sustainable, and least amount of footprints. And then, for everything that they're emitting, not only from a technology standpoint, but company-wide, what are ways that we can actually look to offset that carbon? And that's something that is actually becoming quite a popular theme. BP is looking to do the same. So when I say offset, I mean of the total carbon emissions that companies are starting to produce, what are the different ways that we can offset that through potentially things like planting a forest? So how can we leverage our relationship with one of our reforestation companies that we work with to plant trees that will offset the amount of carbon that they're actually producing, and help, to try kind of drive through that towards that carbon neutrality. HSBC is another great example. They have a series of commitments to help transition to a low carbon economy, one of which, again, is an e-waste strategy. So we're working with HSBC specifically to design what they do with all of their systems as they end of life, and really remove the electronic waste from their site. That way it can help drive towards their own sustainability goals. Does that help?
That really does help. I didn't know actually, Brittani, that we do that. So we work with customers to help them remove some of those electronic products at the end of life. And really
we do. We absolutely do, Margareta. And we actually will take back devices of all types. Not only our own devices, we are happy to take back all electronic devices back into and figure out how to responsibly manage those back into our own streams. And then we actually provide reporting to customers as well on the back end of that to showcase just how responsibly they've recycled their actual kit. So yeah, we're working with several of our large customers to create what we're calling these electronic waste strategies, to help them determine how can they consistently get into this pattern of recycling all of their electronic waste.
Wow, that's great to know. We've had another question come in through the chat function, which is around in these times of COVID-19 and the pandemic, we're seeing a reduction in air travel and people working closer at home or in different places. Do you see that being an impact around sustainability, and do you see it supporting sustainability goals? There's going to be less business travel over the next while.
Absolutely. This is a great question, Margareta. And I think there's a lot of controversy over, what will we go back to at the end of this? I mean, there's no question that it's had significant impact thus far. I mean, we've seen heat maps across the globe that have popped up in, in news, different types of media that showcase how much carbon has been eliminated. Ecosystems are going back to their natural state, and it's been kind of one of those lights at the end of what seems kind of like a dark tunnel right now. But I think that the key is going to be, how do we look to sustain this going forward? We have to make sure that at the end of this pandemic, we're not bouncing right back to what we were doing before, or we're going to put the earth right back in the state that it was. And, funny enough, we do have a couple of our large global customers that we're working with right now that are already looking to proactively figure out how they can move toward a more remote workforce.
Yeah. So
we actually are really helping drive customer solutions to set up a sustainable long-term plan for customers to be able to have their workforce work remotely, either full-time or part-time, but much more so than they had been, before we came into COVID.
Wonderful. I think those are the questions so far. I don't know if anybody else has got any further questions that they want to put through. I guess while we're waiting for any further thoughts, Brittany, have you any suggestions for young organizations, startups, or early stage growth, what they should be considering as they start their journey around expanding on the sustainability path? What would be the one or two things you'd give them as sound bites?
Absolutely. So I would say sustainability holistically. Um, I think what's so fantastic is that so many organizations are making their plan visible today, very visible. And I think that that's, the demand, a lot of customers are expecting to understand and see what companies are doing from a sustainability lens before they're happy to work with them. And then also, I think companies are excited to kind of showcase some of the great, kind of aggressive goals that they're putting out there today. So I would say, if you're just starting on this journey, look at what some of your peers are doing. And again, online, there's so much fantastic content. You can find typically within every single company that I've gone to look for as of recently, you can find their sustainability goals, their most recent report, maybe within one or two clicks from their homepage. So you can really just Google, for instance, AstraZeneca CSR, and that will pull up their sustainability plan. So really get familiar with what other companies are doing. And then this is an area for us, specifically as an example, that companies love to collaborate. Again, we're not going to be able to get to our goals in a bubble. This is all about coming together, working together, trying to figure out how we can drive success forward together. So reach out to some of those close customers and partners that you work with, and figure out where can we potentially start aligning what we're doing, and where can you come in to partner with companies, and figure out how you can move the ball forward in certain areas. So I think it's just becoming familiar with what folks are doing, and then just taking the first small step to see where can you naturally kind of plug in from what you're doing today to start kind of moving the ball forward together.
Wonderful. We've got another question that's just come in from Jasmina saying there starts to be more information available on the carbon footprint of using technology, from sending emails to searching, to using search engines, running servers, etc. Is this something that you're taking into account in your sustainability goals?
Absolutely. So Jasmina, this is absolutely something that we have a maniacal focus on. So the footprint of our technology, we realize as a technology company, is the biggest impact that we have. So we have a whole team that is dedicated to understanding the footprint of our technology at every stage, and then working with our product teams to determine how we can consistently reduce that over the years. So that's everything from kind of that whole circular economy model. It's, what are we building into our systems? How efficiently is each system running? And of course, we have loads of different product types, hundreds of models across those. So it really takes a lot of work across each individual model, but we are absolutely committed and dedicated to making sure that our technology is running as efficiently as possible, so that when it's on site with the customer, we're reducing that overall energy intensity and therefore reducing carbon emissions as we go forward.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brittany. I think those are the questions. If anybody's got any other further questions, I guess they could reach out to you if you're open to that, Brittany, post this call.
100%. Yes, please do feel free to reach out. Again, we will send the procurement guide through after this as well, just in the case that it might be helpful. But please do reach out directly. We'd be happy to speak with you. And, again, if you're on any journey, wherever you are on this journey, along the different stages of your own sustainability life cycle, whether it be IT related or not, Dell has been doing this now, and we've had goals for over 10 years. So we're absolutely always happy to share our best practices and our viewpoint for, how you can look to go about creating your own, or managing through those. So always happy to help. But I am so appreciative of all of you joining today. Really looking forward to hopefully speaking with some of you as we go forward. And thank you so much for having me.